Well, just to reiterate that a packing list can be so important and so valuable because then you don't show up far away from home without the things that you want most. And it's really nice that you don't have to feel stressed about it. You can just say, it's all written down. Someone who's done this dozens of times before me is sending me a list, and you can add or subtract whatever you want. But it's just nice to not have to try to think of everything right when you're trying to do the packing.
Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We're your hosts, Erik Orton
and Emily Orton.
We talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, with little experience and even less money, we bootstrapped a year on a sailboat with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. When you are on a sailboat, it is so fun to stand at the helm and direct the boat. And that's fun for like 10 minutes. And then you realize you're just standing there making little micro adjustments every few seconds, and it can get really tedious. And so we like to use autopilot, where you can set your direction for yourself, and then the boat will make sure you stay on that course. And in our lives, there are things that we can do that are like an autopilot. And these might be habits that you set up for yourself that now I don't have to drain my brain thinking about it. I can just do the thing I need to do because this is my habit that I put in place. Well, one of the things that we use to serve as an autopilot to keep us from, exhausting ourselves is checklists, or checklists that we are going to use over and over again. And this helps make sure that we don't forget anything important. And so today we are going to share with you the checklist that we use for going on these sailing trips. And maybe we'll talk about a couple of other checklists as well. But this is going to be fun. We'll go through our checklist item by item and maybe tell why you need that item or why it's optional and how you might decide whether you want to use it or not. So you'll be able to use this checklist if you ever want to come sailing with us or you go sailing somewhere else.
I want to echo what you're saying about checklists and how reassuring they are. I have 3 checklists that I use. One for when I go sailing, and we're going to go walk through that. Actually, there's one that I'll share with people that go sailing with us, and I have a separate one for myself as the captain because I bring some stuff that's different. But I have a checklist. And then the other is when we go out to keynote, I have a checklist for keynoting so that we bring different stuff for that. And then for me, the third one is rock climbing. Whenever I'm going to go rock climbing, there's a very specific list I just punch down. And it's so nice because the night before I can be like, I need a pack. I just print it out, and I don't feel like I have to do all the brain work. I've already done it. So if there are kind of habits or kinds of trips that you do on repeat, even if it's just an annual or semi-annual family vacation, write it out one time and then be like, I totally forgot. We need to bring, if we're going to another country, we should bring a power adapter. Or, I can't forget to bring the charge cord for my laptop. Emily literally had to raise the charge cord to my laptop to me at the airport one time. Or, just little things like that, like the parts of your everyday life that you take for granted. And then as soon as you're packing up and there's no way to go back, it's really nice to have a checklist. So
yeah, I love having the checklist. And I actually do it for even grocery shopping. Like I have a basic checklist of these are the foods that we eat over and over again. So now I can just go in and mark how many I need. I don't have to think like, what is the food that we eat again? And, it just saves me if I'm tired or in a hurry or distracted. It's all there. And I think we're building our camping list right now. We recently went camping in Idaho in the City of Rocks, and it was so awesome. And while we were there, I had a little note open on my phone to say, like, next time, remember to bring this, this, and this, because we are still building our camping checklist so that it's really easy to get out the door. We're like, we need these items. Let's go.
I want to second that as well, because creating a checklist doesn't mean you're going to get it right the first time. You're probably going to leave a few things off and you can add them, like you said. But also I get my checklist and I'm like, you know what? I know this trip and I actually don't need these items, and I just cross them off. But it's very reassuring to say, I've thought of it and I know that I don't need it. I don't have to worry about it. So
yeah, so I love checklists, and it's super helpful, and it actually can be a real relationship saver too. Like, why you didn't bring this thing, or and sometimes it's an act of generosity. Eric will say, would you like me to print a second copy of this checklist for you? And
she'll say, no, thanks. I'm good.
I have my thing, or sometimes I will, but it's, yeah. So
shall we dive in?
Yeah, without further ado, I really love how this sailing trip checklist starts. You don't need much to be happy, especially on a sailing trip.
True. Here are some ideas. That's how it starts. That's the first line.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take documents?
Yeah, the documents, so important. Your airline tickets, whether you're having them electronically or printed out. I find like sometimes I'm in an airport and I don't have great reception, or for whatever reason, my battery is dying and I'm nervous to keep it open. So I like to actually take a picture, do a screenshot of my boarding pass so that it's super easy to find and I don't have to worry about that app opening the moment I'm standing in front of the officer checking my ID. So, yeah.
I will say, pro tip, if you are going to use your phone for your boarding pass, which is becoming more and more common, just make sure you're not like on the last dregs of your battery.
Yeah, and turn it up to bright. Like turn the lights up. It's so much easier for them to scan it when you get to the airplane. So the next one is travel documents. One of the things that's fun right now is that all of our sailing trips are international, and so you always need a passport. I guess if you're going to Mexico, you might be able to use the new
Real ID. But have a passport just to be safe.
Yeah, I love having a passport. So
not on a sailing trip, but on a work trip, I was traveling with somebody who forgot their passport and it was a train wreck. So, and also if you want to travel internationally, you don't have to order your passport a year in advance. We've gotten passport renewals turned around in as short as 2 weeks and as long as 4 weeks without expediting. So, give yourself enough lead time so you don't sweat it. But, if you want to travel internationally, especially with us, you don't need a super long runway to have a passport ready to go.
Yeah, 8 weeks is usually a plenty of window if you're feeling anxious. And also, if you're over the age of 16, your passport is good for 10 years. So just get it.
Just get it.
And then as things come up, you'll be like, oh, yeah, this will be fun. So we always get the passport booklet. That's what we get.
I'll just say here on visas about travel documents, we have it on our list because during COVID, this was probably more necessary. But now most of the places that we're going, you'll just fill out a form on the plane and you'll fit, a tourist visa. You're not going to have to file anything in advance through the State Department or something like that. So we say visa, but don't sweat it.
Yeah. And you also will maybe want to have your marina details printed out, because when you're on the airplane and they're asking you, where are you going? What's happening? They want you to fill out your little form as you enter the new country. Just like, I'm going to this marina. You just have it already handy there for you. So you get your tickets, you got your travel documents. I like to make sure I always keep my passport in the same spot while I'm traveling so that it's easy to find and I don't freak out, because they're small and thin and you don't want to lose it. Also, it's really nice to separately have a copy of your documents, whether it's passport or visa, and then you can just keep those separate. So you can just make a photocopy, and maybe can you carry an electronic PDF, or does it need to be printed out?
I just think having a backup somehow, if you have a paper copy stuffed into your carry-on, don't put it in your check bag. If you have a check bag,
keep it separate but
keep it with you. And yeah, it just makes it easier. If you have no copy of it and something goes sideways, it's easier to say, like, here's my passport number, issue date, all that sort of stuff.
It's kind of nice having a paper copy when you're going into countries where the internet's not as stable or everything's just not done online.
Yeah, or even just places where there's not a lot of internet, because a lot of times when you're around boats and water, there's internet, but not.
You're going off grid.
You're not going to have Google Fiber.
Yeah, exactly. So. It's great to have that copy. Some cash. Most places will accept credit cards, but it's nice to have some cash for tips and things like that. And depending on where you go, Eric will try to give you some idea of about how much you would like to bring, because you You don't need to bring too much cash.
Yeah, you don't need to bring much, but yeah, just like, if you want to, for a cab driver or something like that. And some countries have Uber and you can just do that, but not all of them. So it's, just a little bit. And, bring dollars. Usually dollars will work no matter almost anywhere you are in the world. And if not, you can always exchange it for local currency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll take luggage and technology. Is that all right?
Let's go.
Okay. So luggage, for some reason, people get worried about this. Don't stress about your luggage. People, how much luggage can I bring, or how big can a suitcase can it be? And honestly, you can bring whatever size luggage you want. You can bring hard shell luggage. You can bring a duffel bag, whatever. There's going to be a place to store it on the boat. Truthfully, the amount of stuff that you'll actually need won't require a lot of space. And so you can bring 2 big roller suitcases and we'll find a place to store them. That's not a problem. Collapsible duffel bags are easier, but traditional luggage is not a problem. And so you can bring duffel bag, roller bag, whatever. Most people tend to overpack, truthfully. And so
I definitely overpacked the first time we went sailing like that. I brought too many books. I brought too many change of clothes. I had read about overpacking. I thought I wasn't overpacking, and I was way overpacked when I got there.
You think you're going to need a new t-shirt for every day. You're going to need 4 swimsuits. You're going to need a sundress or this or that. And it's good to have a couple of each of those, but you're not going to use everything. You don't need to change clothes as many times as you might on land, and you don't really need shoes beyond just to get to the boat, and then you can take them off.
Or maybe if you're going to do like a hike, you go to island and you do a hike, chacos will usually, suffice for that. And I think this is one of the things where going on a sailing trip with us is very different from going on a cruise.
Yes.
Because
having never been on a cruise.
We've never been on a cruise. We're going to be speaking on 2 cruises, one in January 2025 and one in February 2025. And I was imagining packing the same way I do for these sailing trips. And someone was telling me, and then I had like my gown for the fancy night. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit, broke my head open. I was like, what?
The fancy night?
Okay, I guess I'm going to have to look and see, because it's really like there you're living in a small city and there are lots of different events. And I guess you're going to wear something different when you're working out in the gym, and something different when you're at the pool, and something different when you're going out to a casual dinner, and something different when you're in port, and something different on a fancy night on these sailboats. Like, you got your shorts, you got your swimsuit, you got your loose button up. Maybe you want quick dry, maybe you don't. And anything, you can always like rinse it and hang it on the lines, and the sun and the wind will make it fresh for you in the new day. And yeah, limited use for shoes. One of my favorite things is just being barefoot on the fiberglass boat.
Yeah, you don't need shoes on the boat. Okay, I'm going to talk. We're actually going to get into clothing, so let me just get through technology real quick. Charge cords for electronic devices. On the boats that we sail and take out, they have USB ports, so you can just plug in a regular USB cable and charge your devices. There's the typical 12-volt kind of cigarette. Do they even use them for cigarette lighters anymore? Anyway, that's what I think of. That's like so 80s.
Yeah, that's showing our age.
Anyway, a place where you can plug in a 12-volt, power adapter or something if you want that. But most of the boats all come with regular 110-volt outlets, the kind that you'd have in your house. So you don't need to stress about bringing adapters and things like that. And pro tip, whenever I go to international countries or in other countries and I'm worried that there's not going to be the same kind of outlets, I will bring one adapter and one power strip. I put the adapter into the outlet, and then I plug a power strip into the adapter. And then I have 5 or however many places where I can plug in any number of my own personal devices, but I don't need an adapter for each one. So one adapter plus a power strip, if you're going to another country, is a great way to have lots of flexibility in charging all your electronic devices.
And do you do that on these trips? I've been on trips with you before on the sailboat where you bring the like everybody doesn't have to bring their own power strip. No. You bring a power strip usually.
And I've actually stopped bringing them because there's just regular outlets on every boat that we get on. So I used to do that, and we do when we travel internationally, not on boats, but the boats that we get have these kinds of outlets. So we're good to go.
Yeah, that was one of our genius moves when we spent almost 6 months vanning around Europe. We brought a power strip. So wherever we went, we were able to all plug in our items without needing a million adapters.
So savvy. Okay, next on the technology list, bring a headlamp or a small flashlight. On a boat, especially at night, sometimes it's just nice to have a headlamp just getting around. There's never any like emergency need for it, but you just want to have your hands free sometimes when you're on a boat. And so, you want to be able to hold on with both hands sometimes. Not that we're not at sailing at night. I'll clarify that. We're always at anchor, but just, even if you just go down to your cabin and
sometimes you don't want to flip on all of the lights, or you're like, oh, what does this light switch go to? Oh, now I just turned on the light where someone else was trying to take a nap or whatever. And it's just nice to have your own little headlamp. You may not ever use it, but that one is worth having along just in case.
Emily always carries a headlamp everywhere.
Well, I love to use it when I'm just reading at night, and I can put it on the red light so that it doesn't keep you awake and it doesn't.
We're total nerds. We both sit in bed with headlamps and
we can each read and anyway, staying away from the blue and white lights at night, but whatever. Headlamps, we love them.
Also, if you have a smartphone, which I'm guessing you do, sometimes a waterproof case is a good idea. It's just a plastic envelope basically that you slip it into, and it shuts at the top, and you can have a lanyard to hold it around your neck. You can get surprisingly good underwater photos with just that, and your phone will stay dry. So one, you can protect your phone, and two, then you can use it it's a cheap underwater camera basically.
And even when you're just going from the boat to shore, maybe you're in the dinghy and it's a little splashy, you don't have to worry about salt water getting on your phone, and you can take pictures through that while you're out as well. And my recommendation here, if you don't already have one, if you're at some like dive shop or something and you're buying it, it's going to be really expensive, but you can get them pretty cheap if you order in advance online.
Yeah. Oh, that actually reminds me. When we were talking about luggage, I forgot to say dry bag. A dry bag, as you probably know, is just put stuff in it, roll the top, and fold it over and clip it so that it will either float or it won't. The contents inside won't get wet. If you want to bring a dry bag, it's a good idea. But I always bring a big, huge dry bag so that if people don't have one or we want to just consolidate, I can usually fit almost everything that we need to keep protected from water in my own dry bag. But if you want to bring one of your own, not a bad idea.
I know one time someone put their bottle of water inside the dry bag, and I think it opened. Like, we don't need to put water in the dry bag. That you can carry separately. Okay.
The last thing on technology is a playlist of your favorite music to share aboard. We always play tunes when we sail. Not crazy like rock and party out, but we just have music going while we're cooking or while we're sailing. It's just fun, and I like to hear your music. I like everyone have a chance to play their favorite songs and have those, bring in your favorite music to this new place. It's just comforting. It's fun. It's a way to create great memories. And so download them to your phone if you can. Oftentimes we have really good internet, and so you can still stream stuff, but bring your playlists and we'll plug them in, and you can play the music through the whole boat sound system. It's a good time.
Yeah, that's a really fun one.
That's the last one for technology. So over to you for we've already talked a little bit about clothing, but anything you can cover what you want.
Yeah, one more on playlist though is just one thing that people worry about is getting seasick, and we take so many steps to avoid that happening. Eric's pretty prone to seasickness, and so he says, don't go below decks during, while we're moving. And then that'll wipe out 80% of your chance right there.
Yep.
But one of the things that can be really fun to do, and we did this with our kids when we lived on the sailboat for a year in 2014, is we would play our favorite music, and just kind of having a dance party while we're underway would kind of stave off us getting queasy sometimes.
For sure. Singing and listening to music. So much of queasiness and motion sickness is mental. And so if you can just be having a good time and have your mind focused on something else besides, then, you've already overcome the vast majority of your own troubles.
So that's a fun one. We love to play the soundtrack from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, we do.
That's fun.
Okay.
Clothing. A sun visor, a baseball cap, or a brimmed hat for sun. On this front, it can get pretty windy. So if you have some way to attach it to you, like have a chin strap or something, you may not lose your visor overboard, but you might. And Captain Erik will definitely try to swing the boat around and get a boat hook and pick it up for you. And it can be a good team exercise. But
Man overboard drill.
yeah, sadly, some sun visors and the next one, sunglasses, have been gone overboard. So if you bring the next one is sunglasses, and if you can get them polarized, that will actually make a difference when you're out on the water.
It's really beautiful, polarized, and it's better for your eyes.
Yeah, it's better for your eyes.
I have lost a lot of sunglasses overboard and prescription glasses. So, just be mindful of that.
So maybe what I would put here, and I don't see it on this list, we'll just add it right here for you listeners, is a pair of croquis or something that like hooks onto the backside of your glasses. What are those called? The stems. And then they can't just get whipped off you.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, I hate croquis, and I lose enough pairs of glasses overboard that I'll just buy $15 polarized glasses off of Amazon. And whenever I lose them, I'm saying, oh, well, and I just buy new ones. So they don't have to be special, fancy sailing sunglasses. They can just be whatever, whatever takes care of your eyes.
Totally. We like to say 2 swimsuits. It's nice if you can alternate and you don't have to wake up to a wet swimsuit. You can put on something that's already dry before you jump in. So it doesn't take much. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it is nice if you have a swimsuit that is for swimming. So you can go snorkeling, not maybe like a loungy bathing suit, but like a swimsuit, 2 swimsuits. Pretty easy. Ladies, yes, swimsuit, cover up, or summer dress. Sometimes it's nice to be able to say like, oh, just got back from a snorkel and I want to drip dry. And I don't necessarily want to walk around in only my swimsuit, although you're totally fine to do that. And you want a little cover up. That's the perfect time for that. Let's see. Shorts. It really is nice if you can have some quick dry material.
Yeah, I would avoid denim and cotton in general, but a lot of the synthetic fabrics dry really fast in the sun. And we haven't really talked about this, but whenever clothing gets wet with salt water, you want to rinse it off, because if it just stays salty, it will never dry. So even swimsuits, we just encourage everyone. There's a shower at the back of the boat, like a handheld sprayer, and we rinse off our snorkel gear, we rinse out, our clothes, and then we hang them out to dry. And so just cotton, it's harder to get cotton dry on a boat.
Yeah, that's true. So if your shorts are a quick dry fabric, they also, added benefit, don't take up very much space in your luggage. Sandals or walking shoes, which can get wet. We say light tennis shoes or what do you mean by a boat shoe? Boat shoes are best.
Like Sperry topsiders or Vans.
Something with a white sole that's not going to mark up the boat.
Yeah, think skater shoes.
Yeah, that will work. Like I said before, you're mostly going to be barefoot on the boat, but if you're going to an island, you might want to have some light tennis shoes, Chacos, Tevas, some kind of amphibious sandal, right, that can be dry or wet and be fine. Actually, I wear saltwater sandals, and they are made out of leather, but they just go anywhere. I've had this same pair since like 2016, and they are amazing. I love them. I'm wearing them today. If you're not planning on hiking, maybe you can get by with just good quality flip-flops, and that can just be your only pair of shoes. But just that hard-soled shoes or dark shoes can scuff the boat and might cause you to, if they're hard sole, you might slip. So bare feet are best on the boat. I
just want to say about hiking. I'm going to put hiking in air quotes because.
Oh yeah. Okay. Don't get too nervous.
This is like any walking that we do near where we're sailing is not going to be any hardcore hike. It's just going to be, on land, maybe with some elevation gain.
Yeah. It's usually like a dirt and gravel trail, and it's pretty gentle. Yeah. So if you've listened to this podcast for long and you hear about Erik's rock climbing adventures, that's not what we're talking about. It's going for a stroll on the island. Shirts, make sure that they're comfortable. You probably won't want it to be too snug. If you have a mix of long and short or sleeveless, long sleeve, short sleeve, or sleeveless shirts, you'll have that airflow to keep you cool, but you'll also be able to change, like, oh, there's a breeze that has kicked up at dusk and I want a little something more. This leads to Either bring one windbreaker or a sweatshirt or a light sweater when your skin's been warm, or maybe if you got a little sun that day and now it's cooled off, or your hair's still wet. It's just nice to keep out that slight chill. There is often rain, which might last for 30 seconds or
Quick
less.
tropical rain showers.
They'll just have this quick tropical rain shower, and it's like, oh, everything just got a quick rinse. You might be interested in bringing a light rain jacket for something like that. A dry pack or a fanny pack to carry small items when you go ashore. Like Erik said, he brings a large dry bag and everyone can put in there. If you just want your own, it doesn't need to be big, just something small that you can carry your wallet and your smartphone or your camera, whatever it is you're bringing with you. And I really love this one, a rash guard or a swim shirt. When we go snorkeling, that's my best chance to get burned because I love snorkeling so much and it's hard to tell how much sun you're getting. And so for me, I just cover up and I don't have to worry about sunscreen wearing off. And I'm never actually going to get a rash. I'm not like guarding from rash, but a rash guard is really helpful when we're out snorkeling. And I wear them on the quote unquote hikes as well. It helps me avoid a sunscreen when possible.
All right, toiletry suggestions. I'm just going to clip through this. Just so you know, linens, pillows, blankets, towels, they're all provided. You don't need to bring any of that. So just know that there will be a comfy bed with a blanket and towels and all that ready for you. It's good to bring a small bag for toiletries. Chances of you having a private bathroom for your cabin is almost always that's the case. But it's just nice to keep things organized. You still can tuck them into little like medicine cabinet type stuff in drawers, but sometimes you just want to keep it consolidated. So things to bring: body wash or soap. Great idea. I always bring my own bar of soap just because that's what I prefer. I bring shampoo and conditioner in little teeny bottles, containers, kind of that you can take on a plane. Bring a shaving razor. So if I want to shave, I oftentimes will have a beard or a mustache, but I like to shave when I'm snorkeling because then I get a better seal around my face. Although now I have a snorkel mask that goes around my whole face and it doesn't matter, but just something to consider. Toothbrush and toothpaste, moisturizer or aloe gel, especially, if you're in the sun and you want to take care of your skin, deodorant or antiperspirant. We have beach towel on here. We should take that off. You want to make a note?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's why people have been showing up on the trips, and I'm like, you don't need to bring a beach towel. So now I know why. Okay. Mosquito repellent. Some places you need this, some places you don't. I can tell you, but when you go ashore, sometimes you can get ankle biter type bugs that will bug you. So
especially at dusk if you're going on shore for dinner.
Yeah, like going to a restaurant in the evening. So there's that. Prescription medicine, obvious. If you need that, just bring it and make sure that you got a couple of extras in case you run into any travel delays. Lotion for when you're not using sunscreen. I personally don't like sunscreen. And so I just wear long sleeve shirts and long sleeve pants and a big broad brim hat when needed. But you should bring what's going to work for you, sunscreen being one of them. Basic first aid. There's a first aid kit on the boat. So it says Band-Aids, antibacterial cream, aspirin or non-aspirin pain relievers. We might want to take that off since it's already on the boat. But, just bring what you want for yourself for when you're traveling because you might need that when you're not on the boat. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're going to extend and stay, come early or stay a few extra days. That way you'll be self-sufficient. Sleeping pills if you're a light sleeper. I don't know that I've ever had anyone take sleeping pills, but it's on there.
Totally optional. I will say about sleeping, though, that the best sleep of my life has been on a sailboat in a good anchorage. Just the slow, gentle rock after a day in the sun and the salt water and a warm rinse down, a good meal, nice chat with friends. The stars come out, it gets colder, I get sleepy, and then I just get rocked to sleep like a baby.
There you go. Okay, if you have long hair, bring a hair tie. Sailing is windy. Your hair will be flying all over the place. And if you want to keep it under control, just tie it back. Personal wipes or baby wipes, it's a great way to just freshen up. You can wipe your face or your arms, whatever. So just those can be nice to have on hand. Sun stick or lip balm in case you want to put something on your nose or the tops of your cheeks or your lips to keep them from getting dried up or burnt in the sun. Waterproof sunscreen, also helpful when you get in the water. Another way to do that is just I'll wear a long sleeve swim shirt and I'll just put a little sunscreen on the tops of my hands, or the tops of my feet.
And we do like to get the coral friendly kind.
Yeah. And then sunburn balm, just in case. Would that be something different than aloe, Emily?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay. All right.
We might have doubled up on this.
All right. This is a good double check for us. Contact lenses and solution. I wear glasses all the time, but when I'm surfing and snorkeling, I like to still see. So I'll put in contact lenses then. And you'll have a little place, you'll have your bathroom in your cabin where you can put that in and you'll be able to see yourself in a mirror. I'm just going to do other gear. If you own your own snorkel gear and you want to bring it, by all means, there's always snorkel fins when we get on the boat. You don't have to bring fins. I was just talking, there's a couple that's coming sailing with me to the Bahamas in August, and the husband has a prescription snorkel mask. So if you have anything like that, absolutely bring it. If you don't have anything and you don't want to buy it, there will be snorkel equipment available at the marina. Just know that it's going to be what's there, and you won't get to be picky. You'll just kind of take what's there, but it's fine. Also on here, ankle aqua socks to wear with snorkel flippers.
This is a favorite of mine. I get a lot of questions about this one.
I like to wear little aqua socks that just come up to my ankle because I've snorkeled enough and long enough that sometimes I'll get blisters on my feet, especially the tops of the knuckles of my toes. And so I wear these and I just stay super comfy. So I put on the packing list, certainly not required, but if you want to feel extra cozy and cushy on your feet, by all means, bring a pair, but also optional.
Yeah, I think it definitely say optional, and it maybe would say Captain Erik is the only one who has ever brought these on a sailing trip. I never use them. I don't get blisters. But I know some people have gotten really concerned. Like, do I really need this? Like, where can I find this in my size? And do you have a brand you recommend? And you don't actually need it.
All right. This is good. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Cameras. If you have a GoPro, they're great for underwater. I've, never regretted it. I've never seen somebody regret bringing a GoPro. I've seen people bring kind of the 360 cameras that you can put on a stick, both, on land or on the boat or underwater. Those are all fun. Whatever you bring, just know that if you want to take underwater pictures, it's going to go in the water. And so you need to bring the proper housing or protection for that. And again, your smartphone, you can just do the little plastic envelope. If you want to bring a big fancy DSLR, bring something that's going to keep it watertight.
Yeah, if I'm not taking my phone in the water like you're talking about, I can literally just put it in a quart-sized Ziploc bag, and it's totally fine while I'm going back and forth.
And then I've also had there was a couple that came in, they were big scuba divers, and they brought a whole big housing thing with a flash and all that. So, whatever works for you. Mm-hmm. Just know that if you want to take underwater pictures, your camera's going in the water.
Yeah.
It's always fun to bring cards or games. We have calm, relaxing evenings, and so there's always a chance to do. I like to bring conversation cards, but you can bring face cards, and we can play all the games that come from that. I probably wouldn't bring a board game with lots of teeny little pieces. Just simple games.
We've seen our kids try to do that before, and it's just an exercise in disappointment because there's always just a little wind, or there's always just a slight movement of the boat that you might not perceive, but as soon as you try to set up a domino or some little playing pieces,
down
notice.
Down it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring some cards or other games. Those are fun. And then paperback books or a Kindle or something like that. There's lots of downtime. There's lots of time for yourself to read, or just you can bring a magazines, whatever you want. But just know that, you're not going to have to be focused and at attention the whole time. Yes, there's chances to learn how to sail. Yes, you're going to be helping cook meals, but there's lots of times to just relax. And so, whether it's music, reading, magazines, whatever, bring that, whatever works for you to kind of occupy your mind.
Erik likes to string up a hammock, or sometimes two. That's really fun. And I'm thinking now, just imagining being in the hammock, and I'm wondering, did we have earplugs on the list? We might want to add that.
We do not. It's never been necessary. But if you are sharing a cabin with somebody, whether you know them or not, sometimes earplugs would be a good call.
If you know your own personal sensitivity levels, or if you, for example, say like in your house, you recognize, oh, that's the refrigerator going on, or that's, whatever functioning in our house, the air conditioner kicking on. You're aware of that. It doesn't bother you. But when you're going to be on a boat, it's a brand new set of subtle nighttime noises. And if you think you'll be sensitive to that, it doesn't hurt to just pack a pair of earplugs.
All right. That is the end of our packing list. Anything you want to say to close us out, Emily?
Well, just to reiterate that a packing list can be so important and so valuable, because then you don't show up far away from home without the things that you want most. And it's really nice that you don't have to feel stressed about it. You can just say, it's all written down. Someone who's done this dozens of times before me is sending me a list, and you can add or subtract whatever you want. But it's just nice to not have to try to think of everything right when you're trying to do the packing. You know what I would add to this list? Your favorite comfort snack. Like if you have a favorite candy or cookie or chocolate bar or whatever, I will definitely take your preferences into consideration. And when people tell me I want this kind of, candy, I try to get it if it's available to me. And Erik will even bring it with him if it's not available on the island that you're going to. But sometimes people don't really want to tell me the whole truth about what they like to eat. They give me their aspirational diet that they want. And so I think, if you love chocolate, just bring some for yourself. You might decide to share, but you don't have to. You just know you'll have it. Like,
just keep it in your cabin.
I know I'm getting a treat. just have your goodies for yourself. That I think it's always good to have something like that around, because when you're in a new situation, you do kind of want those comfort items and comfort foods. And when we got on a sailboat with our kids for the first time living aboard, I did not buy any chocolate. I didn't feel that it was essential. And in the first 72 hours, my kids ate like 3 pounds of raisins because that was the only sweet thing aboard. And I said, okay, I've learned my lesson. I will buy chocolate chips. We will make cookies. We need some comfort food.
I'll just make one last plug for packing lists in general, or checklists in general, because they just relieve your brain. You get to go through life more peacefully. One of the things that I've started doing is I go downtown and I take my guitar and accordion and I play music in the streets. And there's actually quite a few little things that you got to remember to bring. And so I have a little checklist. It's on my phone in my little notes app. And every time I just look at it, I'm like, oh, you know what? I forgot to pack a bottle of water. Or you know what? I need to remember to bring my confidence with me. And I check that box.
That's my favorite one.
So you can create checklists for anything that you do repeatedly to just make sure that you are moving through life confidently and with, as Emily said, with the stuff that you want to have when you want to have it. So that's it for me. Anything else, Emily?
That's it for me. Like, if you have your packing list, what could go right? Are
we going to make this packing list available in the show notes?
Yeah, I'll put a link to it if we have one.
All right. And if not, then just shoot us an email and email hello@theawesomefactory.nyc and we'll send it to you directly. And if you want to come sailing with us, you can email us the same way. So anyway, we love packing lists. What could go right? Hey guys, it's Erik and Emily. If you want to go sailing with us, here is the latest. July, we're going to Athens, Greece. That trip is sold out. August, we're going to the Bahamas. That trip is sold out. September, we're going to be in Italy. That trip is private, so you won't be able to join on that one. But in October, we're looking at doing a trip back in the Bahamas. If you want to go somewhere warm and beautiful in the fall, just let us know. Drop us a line. We'd love to get you on the wait list for that, and we can get you details. November, I'm going to be in Thailand. That trip is also sold out. December, we're looking at doing a trip either before Christmas, first half of the month, or the week right after, between New Year's and the first week of January. If that is of interest to you, drop us a note. We'll get you on the wait list for that. In January, I'm also doing a specific trip to the Virgin Islands, and that trip is sold out. February, we're going back to the Bahamas, and there's one cabin left. Yeah, I got some deposits on that before the weekend. So there is one cabin left for our February Bahamas trip.
So 2 spots.
2 spots. Yeah, correct. So the moral of the story is these trips are filling up. If you want to go, love to have you aboard. We just got to get you some details. We have to have a chat if we're not already acquainted. I talk with everybody before we go sailing. Nobody just signs up. It's a chance to make sure that we're all a good fit for each other. But if you're the kind of person that wants to listen to this podcast, I have a feeling that we'd be a good match. Also, Emily takes great care of us with the food. She puts together amazing meal plans and sends us off with all the food and the recipes that we need. Anything you want to say about that, Emily?
Yeah, I love to make sure we take good care of you, your preferences, your favorites, and everybody
peanut M&Ms for me.
Right, everybody eats really well. And it's such a fun connecting time to be at anchor as the sun is setting, chopping your vegetables together, talking about the adventures of the day with your new friends. It's a really lovely part of the trip. And I would just also add that one of the things that we offer on these trips is a really kind and encouraging captain who's Eric's super enthusiastic about sailing and especially about helping introduce new sailors to the activity, to the sport, to the fun that it is to live on a sailboat. So if you want to try living on a sailboat, you really couldn't look for a better guide and coach in your sailing journey than Erik Orton.
We had the best instructor when we were getting certified in the Caribbean. His name was Matt Holt. So Matt, if you're listening,
he doesn't instruct anymore. He's in like Marine University or something.
Yeah, he doesn't teach private clients anymore, but he was amazing. And my job is just to be as kind and helpful and encouraging as he was for us. So thank you, Emily. And if sailing seems like it'd be your thing, we'd love to hear from you. The best way to reach out is via email, hello@theawesomefactory.nyc. NYC is in New York City. You can also send us a DM on Instagram or Facebook, but hello@theawesomefactory.nyc or social media are the best ways. And we hope to see you aboard. Thanks. If this has been helpful, please subscribe, rate, review the podcast because this helps more people like you find us.